All right. We got a dog on the bed. We got a dog in the hallway. We got a cat up on top of the laser printer. Absolutely just mortified and giving the 1,000-yard stare. And it's Houston After Dark, baby. Let's do this. It's late night. Ooh, buddy. Okay. So, video's taking a little while to catch up to everything. But we got dogs. We got cats. We got another tight shirt for the ladies and Jimmy D. And we got one of these. Bam! Right. Okay. Houston, we have a problem. After dark, a late night on a Friday night. It's 10:30 Pacific time. It's early morning for those just waking up. It's nice Saturday morning for those weird Europeans that wake up at 5 a.m. And for all you people on the East Coast, sucks to be you. Okay. Oh. I can hear myself coming from the other room. Big dog. Come here, buddy. Come on. Come on, get in there. Get in there. All right. All right, close that up. All right, it's echoing in the other room. There we go. All right, we got dogs, we got cats, we got everything. Okay, so the news. We had an earnings call yesterday from GME, and that earnings call was, meh. I mean, revenue was way up. They still posted quite a bit in loss, and that loss basically was, I think, still further investment into internet logistics and GMErica, and then they announced that they're going to be launching GMErica sometime next quarter. Cool. Yeah. But they're still in growth phase. The stock got hammered a little bit, but then today it finished all right. We're up about $10 since Wednesday. And let's see here. I dug further into the gold mine, the HYMC gold mine, and that thing's a dog, man. I think it's a really terrible investment. If I were to pick a gold mine, that would not be it. That is a really hard to make profit wise. It's sulfides. There are some ways to get metal out of volcanic metal sulfides, but not the type of sulfides, the iron-rich sulfides that are have locked the gold in here. It's going to be expensive and time-consuming, and 2 companies have gone bankrupt already trying to exploit that mine. And I just don't think the Hycroft mine is worth it. There are better places to sink your money than in that mine. It's that kind of investment. But outside of that, what was the other news? Gold mines, GME. Oh yeah, the war still rages. Russia is getting desperate, and they are beginning to hit civilian targets almost exclusively now. They blew up all the food storage in Kyiv. They're attacking hospitals and places where people are sheltering, and blowing up daycares and apartment buildings. And it's pretty much now just a terror campaign on citizenry, because that's all they got. So it's going to get uglier. Analysts from several groups. There's a Pentagon briefing the other day, and basically said that Russia's got maybe 2 weeks worth of munitions left, and so they're probably going to go all out. They're launching everything they have, and terrorizing the public. And we'll see how they escalate after that if they run out of munitions. So, yeah. Okay. Do you have anything else, you slobbery beasts? I don't think so. All right. To the chat, I guess. All right. Chakuseki, right up the top. Hi. Was wondering if you have read the sci-fi series Remembrance of Earth's Past, about the Tesselaran alien species introduced in the 3-body problem. Lots of hard sci-fi, awesome physics. No. Remembrance of Earth's Past. Remembrance of Earth's Past. Okay. All right. I'll have to add it to the list. Jason Blackwell, recovering from COVID. Excellent. Glad that's the case. Paratarian, hey, man. Well, the earnings call was uneventful. Any thoughts on RC tweet storming leading to an earnings call full of stuff we already knew? GMErica months out, no dividend, DRS numbers. Well, the DRS numbers, Get It Got published a thing today showing that the Get It Got numbers are pretty on par with his surveys, showing about 900 million ownership in the U.S. So, that's 20 times the float. That should mean something to all of us. 125,000 have DRS'd, and that represents 9.5 million shares, somewhere around there. So that's on par with the numbers that he was picking up when he's in his surveys. A lot of people are still trying to get me to DRS. I'm not going to DRS, guys. To me, it changes nothing. Like, they will still naked short, regardless if they're DRS or not. They may even use the total listed in DRS to create naked shorts. I've identified 9.5 million shares. Therefore, I can short 9.5 million shares. In the computer share system, is just a pain in the butt. I don't like you dealing with it. And I don't want to. I'm just not doing it. You guys are welcome to. Go for it, by all means. But it's just a pain in the butt. I just don't like pains in the butt. Okay. Latinum. Houston, if you're worried the shorts will delay the in lieu of payments on MMTLP, you can DRS your shares instead. DRSing makes your stock official, not synthetic, so you get paid from the company. I'm not going to DRS those things, man. That's a pain. All right. Okay. Either way, I'm going to get paid from someone for those MMTLP shares. I'm going to get my money. They're going to have to liquidate them and pay me or something. Okay. Jason Backwell says, I got sick to my stomach when I saw Moderate Capital was involved in this mining company AMC bought. Hey, just can't get away from short hedge buddies. Yeah. I see Moderate and I'm like, I don't trust it. I don't trust those short hedge funds, man. Okay. Just in my head, thoughts on folks saying the West cornering China, India, and Russia, 3 billion people, onto their own dollarless financial system will end up bankrupting us long term. No. Here's the thing, is that, Russia has a lot of wheat, but China and India can't feed themselves without imports. Another thing is that India is led by Modi, and Modi has a very tenuous grasp on power in India. And he's an outright fascist. Modi is a member of the Sangh RSS, which is a fascist group that idolizes Hitler. And Modi's entire goal is to basically murder 200 million Muslims that live in India. He wants to genocide them, get them out of the country, do whatever he can to annihilate them. And so he's going to gravitate towards authoritarians because authoritarians are like, yeah, man, genocide's awesome. Let's genocide. But a gigantic problem in India is that it is the world's largest democracy. They have a gigantic middle class. I mean, it's a poor nation overall, but there's so many people. They've got a huge middle class that's extremely educated and bring in a lot of money from around the world. There's a lot of remittance payments that end up in India. And India doesn't actually like China very much. They've got some disputed territories. They see each other as competition, both culturally and market-wise. And I just don't see them actually becoming friends. I see them sort of becoming frenemies and then stabbing each other in the back, like all three of those groups. I think Putin's on the way out, personally. I don't think he's got much longer in power. He's basically weakened Russia so much that it's going to become a vassal of China if he goes further. He's now lobbying threats. If Bosnia, Croatia join NATO, he's going to attack them too. And basically Bosnia and Croatia at this point are like, what are you going to do about it, buddy? Go attack me. Come bring a bunch of broken down jalopies and leave them around on our yard too. So I think Putin has basically shot his shot and he doesn't have anything left in the chamber. So he's begging China. China's seeing the absolute damage to their economy that's taking place in Russia. And they're doing quick math. They're like, okay, we export to Europe and America, and if they stop buying our products, then we have nothing. Because India can't buy their products. They don't have enough money to buy their products. Russia can't buy shit. I mean, at most, China can get a bunch of oil and gas from Russia. But, you know, that serves no purpose if you don't have any products to sell to anybody. So I think there's a lot of math being done as to who aligns with who. And after seeing Russia get just slapped around trying to invade Ukraine, I think China's like, oh, we may have backed the wrong dog in this fight. We're going to kind of pussyfoot around and pretend to be neutral for a while until we can figure out, you know, they're playing, like, insert Always Sunny playing both sides meme into this. So, yeah. China, India, and Russia all have membership to the same banking system, because Russia created a banking system in case they ever got kicked off of SWIFT. So they can still, you know, transact using banking wires, but, you know, not being part of the rest of the world in that respect is kind of brutal. Especially when, you know, United States is 4% of the population of the earth and 25% of the entire GDP. We are a lot. Very powerful. You know, one American is worth 100, literally, like, monetarily worth 100 others in Russia, Japan, Russia, China, or India. And then India also has some problems that the Indian Space Agency and the Japanese Space Agency are teamed up to compete against China, going to the moon to exploit resources. So there's natural competition in there. So I don't think they can quite, you know, bond quite yet. Okay. Matt Arnold, what up? East Coast all day, baby. Other than gold, what are the best stocks or opportunities to invest during a depression? Ooh, man. Well, I have to think about that one. Depends on how we react to that. We are, you know, if there's an economic depression, there's going to be stimulus. And that stimulus will probably come in the form of public works. So construction firms, perhaps. You know, big public construction firms, the kind of type that build bridges and dams and things like that. Not necessarily housing ones. People aren't going to be building houses during an economic depression. People always drink. So, you know, booze. You drink when you're happy, drink when you're sad. That always just stays even keel throughout. And sorry, a friend, he likes to call me late at night. Let me just tell him that. Okay. All right. And what else? If you guys have other ideas, throw them in the chat. Curious to see what depression-proof things you come up with. During the last crisis, businesses that catered to the ultra wealthy did really well. There was a pretty cool Freakonomics radio from like 2010, somewhere in there, where they talk about the economics of affluence. And I had a roommate at the time who was a fly fishing guide, and he lost all his customers. Like all the people that he booked trips for, all canceled because they all lost their houses and jobs and everything else. And he's desperately trying to figure out how to make a living, because people at the time didn't have any extra cash to spend to go on a 3-day fly fishing trip, you know, on the John Day or whatever in Oregon. And what he ended up doing, because I listened to this Freakonomics podcast about the economics of affluence, and in it, they were talking to a guy that had a linen shop in San Francisco. It's like a really high-end linen shop where they sold, you know, 1,000 thread count sheets and stuff. And they sold them for a fortune. Like, you go in and buy a bed set for your California King, it's going to cost you $1,000 for the sheets. And they're asking him how business is. He's like, oh, it's fantastic. Like, well, your price is really expensive. He's like, I know. My clients like expensive things. And they said, do you ever have sales? He's like, oh, God, no. I can never have a sale, because if I ever put anything on sale, my clients will be like, oh, this place is for the peasants, and we will never shop here again. he was like, my products are not any different than what you buy at Macy's. They just cost $500 more. And I make sure they're the best, like they're the highest end that Macy's might have. And my customers just trust me to pick out the best stuff, and then they buy it. So that's it. And so I was like, okay. So these guys, they'll buy the most expensive option there is, because obviously if it's the most expensive one's the best. So I told my roommate, I was like, you know how you cut your 3-day fly fishing trip from $1,200 to $900 to $700 and no one's buying it? He's like, yeah. I said, raise it to $5,000. He's like, what? Why would I do that? I said, economics of affluence. The only people that can afford to go right now are the most rich and ostentatious out of all of them. And if they see you are thousands of dollars more than the next guy, they can be like, that guy's obviously the best, and book. He's like, oh, I can't. Like, just do it for one weekend. Pick one weekend this summer, make it $5,000 for a 3-day trip and see what happens. He's like, all right. So he put on his website, $5,000. He booked out so much, he ended up having to hire like 3 guides to help him finish the rest of the summer, because he had like every billionaire, millionaire, banker, guy that owns a hedge fund or whatever. Every single one of those dudes booked with him, and they spent a fortune. So look for those economics of affluence people. That's probably a good place to go, because they're really rich. They're still going to be rich. They're still going to flaunt it. They're still going to have nice stuff. Being super rich is usually depression proof. All right, big dog, you're just breathing so hot right now. It is steaming up the room that we're in. Okay, Josh Pet Pals, Tennessee. Happy birthday. 2 quick questions. DRS, is there something there that could eventually MOAS? Second question, if flight on Earth requires a certain amount of variables, how much harder is space flight? Okay. Well, question 1, I don't think DRS can lead to MOAS. I don't. We've had stocks in the past that got completely locked up, and they still naked shorted. Either you have to put them into a trap that's going to cost them a fortune that they can't pay, dividend, or you need the entire economy to collapse, where they now have a liquidity crisis combined with assets under management that have collapsed, MOAS, or you can have the government just stop letting them naked short and do swaps, which I think will happen after an actual MOAS. I don't think they'll actually do those things ahead of time. I think those are the three ways MOAS happens. Question 2, if flight on Earth requires a certain amount of variables, how much harder is space flight? Well, flight on Earth is different because you're going through a medium. So you have, Bernoulli's principle, flight lift. You got a wing surface where the top part is curved, the bottom part is flat, and the air rushing over has to meet the other side, so it creates lift due to low pressure on top of the wing, and that lifts things up, and you're flying through the air, and you're turning by using the drag of the jet. So you aren't actually turning by blasting forces one way or the other. If you want to go up, point up, you lift the flaps, and the plane points up. You want to go down, you lower the flats, plane points down. You want to turn from one side to the other, you use the rudder, and it guides the air and pushes the plane one direction to the other. Now, so you got roll, pitch, and yaw, right? You got those 3 axes. In space, you still have those 3 axes. Problem is there's no up or down, and you have no medium in which to push off of. So, great examples. Like if you watch Battlestar Galactica, you'll notice that the Cylon Raiders, they fly using unknown technology, and so they look like they bank through space. But the humans in there, they actually use burns. So you have to burn to go pss, 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 get your roll, pitch, and yaw, and how to turn and flip around in space. That is how satellites and things work, because there's no medium in which you can bank off of. So you need lots of fuel in order to make those turns. And that fuel actually it can be expensive. So if you launch a satellite and you're someone like Russia, right? Your launch pads are really high to the north, really high latitudes, and it's easy to go north-south. You just point the rocket north, and you can do a polar orbit really easily. But if you want to get something that's at a lower angle orbit, or towards something that orbits around the equator, like a geostationary orbit, it will take just as much fuel as it takes to launch to space as it is to correct the orbit to a lower latitude. So you need a lot of fuel to be able to correct that stuff. So that's why most people launch as low latitude as they can. So like Kennedy Space Center is at 20 something degrees latitude. The European Space Agency does other launches at about 4 degrees in Guyana in South America. So yeah, that way you can easily go north and you can easily get to an equatorial orbit if you want, if you're launching from lower latitudes. And then you have like Boeing's Allied, what's the name of the Allied Space, blah, blah, blah. They've got the barge. You can just put it at the equator and launch from there if you need to. Put it at whatever latitude you want. And launch from international waters. It's pretty cool. Bullish on Houston second intro. Hey, HW. Oh, second intro. Turn off the intro. Boom. Ha! Intro's off, suckers. HW, if the housing market was to have a correction, how dramatic, in your opinion, you think it would be? Go turn off the intro. Too late. Turn it off. Oh, man. Well, I think we could see housing prices drop kind of at the same ratio as we had 2008. That makes sense to me. We have entire cities where the average wage is like $70,000 a year, but the average home price is like $1 million. That's not sustainable. People can't afford the rent. They can't afford the mortgage. How many people making $70,000 a year can afford a $10,000 to $12,000 mortgage? Exactly that many, right? So if you have a majority population that can't afford their rent or their mortgage, then the value of the homes is completely fake. And I think what we're going to see is if home mortgage interest rates start to get to the 4 or 5% range, as they might later this summer, that home sales are going to slow to a crawl. There still might be a few cash buyers out there doing lots of cash buying, but the competition for these homes is going to really start to wane as the mortgage payments are going to get a lot higher for these folks. So, you look back to the inflation fighting era, like 1980, 81, when the Fed raised interest rates to like 20% to combat, because we had inflation that was at like 14% year over year, which is just too high. So they had to jack up interest rates super high to like 20%. And if you had bought a home in 1981 for $50,000 or whatever, with today's interest rates, you would have paid about $300 a month for your mortgage. But for the price of that home in 1981, with 1981 interest rates, your mortgage was like $1,700 a month because your mortgage was at like 20% interest. So people just stopped buying homes. So the prices just collapsed into the 80s, and we had until 85, 86, when they started actually cutting the interest rates back and people started being able to afford homes. The home I grew up in, the one my mom bought in 86, she paid $60,000 for it, and her mortgage was still $1,400 a month. Well, if you had a $60,000 mortgage today, you say you put 5-10% down, you're still only paying like $300-$400 a month. So that's how much interest was gobbling up her mortgage or her payments. Interest, that goes a long way, man. Interest. So you won't see a $1 million home sell with 20% interest. Like, no one can afford that mortgage. So if interest rates go up, then the economy contracts a lot, and we have a MOA situation, and constantly on the precipice of World War III. I think home prices will drop quite a bit. Okay. All right. Parataran gave me some coordinates here. First time coordinate giver. All right. We are going... Looks like we're going to the southwest somewhere. California, maybe? Let's check it out. Intro's off. We're cool. Turn Google Earth. Go like that. We're still in the Mediterranean from the last show. And bam. 118 degrees, 34. It looks like California. I think that's California. It is California. It is, where are we, like Thousand Oaks or something? We are at a crop circle. What are we looking at? It's a little housing development, some Lego housing there. Oh, it's a smiley face. Ourselves a smiley face looking over this wealthy neighborhood right next to the highway. Where are we? It's got to be like Thousand Oaks, Ontario, Corriganville, Santa Susana. What we got there? Oh, Simi Valley. Okay. Well, there's Thousand Oaks. Thousand Oaks is over there. All right. Not too far from Chatsworth. Chatsworth is where AAA Engines is. Those people are a bunch of garbage monsters who sell shitty engines to people, so don't go to them. Cool. I dig it. There we go. Bam. Smiley face. There was another smiley face on the side of a mountain someone sent me to once. It wasn't there. I can't remember where that one was. Okay. Aaron F. Yo Houston, happy birthday. What's our world coming to? Wifey went to the store today and came home in awe of prices of simple groceries. When will this end? Not anytime soon. We are about to have a third of all the wheat on Earth not be able to come to market easily. We are going to have probably the next month another collapse of the supply chain. China's shutting down. COVID infections are starting to skyrocket in Europe again. We're probably 3 to 4 weeks behind Europe in that range. I mean, infections in New York were up 34% week over week. So it's you know, some of those communities starting to climb again with BA2 and you know, global war. I all signs point to this is World War III, which kind of sucks to say, but I think that's where we're headed. There's a couple of good signs. One, Venezuela released American prisoners, which is usually a sign of good faith if there's going to be some sort of deal struck. And then Iran released 2 British nationals who've been held for 5 or 10 years. And that coincided with a payment of about $500 million to Iran. Hey, dude, leave the cat alone. Nope, leave the cat alone. Stop. No. Sorry. The big dog just wants to eat the cat, and I don't know what to do about that. So I'm just going to block his eyes so he doesn't eat the cat. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So when the 2016 nuclear deal went through with Iran, the U.S. gave back about $400 million that had been money Iran spent for weapons that we never delivered because there was a giant revolution. And they released a bunch of prisoners. We gave them the $400 million that had been sitting in an account for the last 40 years. And Britain just released $500 million Iran had spent towards weapons that then never got delivered because of the revolution. And then they got some prisoners back, which tells me we might be on the cusp of a new nuclear deal. Dude, don't stop staring at the cat. Just stop. I'm going to have to tackle you if that's going to happen. Yeah, so there's a couple of bright spots. If we can get those guys off of Axis of Evil type talk, and get them, you know. And dude, stop trying to put your head on things. I know you are a big oaf. You are a giant oaf. Yes, you are. You're the oafiest oaf I've ever oafed. Yes. So just chillax. That kitty cat is our friend. He's our buddy. He's Batman. All right. He was here before you. He's got seniority. Okay? He's older than you. So, you know, defer to that seniority. And know that if you wanted to turn it on, he would take one of your eyeballs. So, yeah. Where was I? What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. What's the world come to? So, I think food prices are going to be high for a while. It's going to be great for, like, American farmers who sell wheat. They're going to make a fortune. But everyone else is going to suck. It's going to suck. Pizza's going to be expensive. Bread's going to be expensive. Yeah, you just are clawing me. Josh Pepel, spray bottle leash and removal if nothing else. Yeah. Don't hold muzzle because of anxiety. Well, Josh Pepels is the dog trainer. He knows exactly what's up. Yeah. So there you go. See? I don't have to spray you with a bottle. I'm just tackle you, pin you to the ground, stare into your eyes until you look away, and just assert my dominance. But yes. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to block his eyeballs he's got some serious object permanence problems. Like he'll see a dog far away and it's block his eyes, and all of a sudden the dog just doesn't exist anymore. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to dance? Is that what you're trying to do? Trying to dance, you big oof? Or just trying to get yourself on camera? Yeah, trying to block out Monkey entirely. No, we're not attacking the cat. We're not attacking the cat. Nope. Hey. Sorry, I'm gonna have to do some. Hey, guess what? You are Spaz, and we are gonna rescue the cat. You take the kitty cat? I know, buddy. You just wanna be so patient. Oh, there's Chalupa. And there's the big dog. We're just gonna put the Chalupa out of the room. The big dog's gonna be stuck in the room. And nope. Hey. No, stop. You can't get the cat. Monkey, come on. Don't act like a pack, you little shits. Okay. Cat's not free. Dog's locked in the room. And now you can't do anything about it. You're stuck. Okay. There we go. No. Cat's gone forever. You will never see him again. He's escaped. You're stuck here forever. Time to let that object permanence problem really take hold here. Okay. What are we talking about? Dogs being a pain in the butt. Yes, I know. It's the worst. You didn't get to eat a cat. I'm so sorry. Well, I'll feed you a bunny rabbit out in the yard. How's that sound? 'Cause there's plenty of those around here. Okay. We're coming to Mudwreck. People saying I should be sleeping. Yes, everyone should be sleeping. You can't open the door. You can try, but you're not going to. Yes, just put that sad little head right there. Don't put it on the keyboard. Okay, Amy R. Houston, can you please tell me AMC is going to squeeze soon so I can go back to sleep? I don't know when anything's going to squeeze. I constantly think things are looking like it's going to get squeeze worthy, and then nothing. They discover they swap a bunch of more stuff, create more naked shares, find liquidity out of thin air. The market itself is get your face off of there. The market itself is slowly going into a bear market. I think the Fed is probably trying to ease us into this thing rather than crash into a bear market. And that's where we see the plunge protection team at work. If you check out the HYG bonds, it's shrunk. We've shrunk 10% since September on that thing. So if I had been smart enough and gotten yearlies, I would have made some money off of those things, but I didn't for puts for that. But, Missing the boat is what we usually do. 99% of us miss the boat on every single play. It's that 1% of the time where we're like, oh, I was in the right place, right time, and now I'm a millionaire. All right. But the rest of us are like, oh, I should have taken my money and put it into that, and then I'd be a millionaire. But instead I put it over here, and now it's down 40%. That's how we usually play the game. It just takes that one time. That one just... if you have your eyes closed and you're swinging, you're going to hit a ball eventually, right? So that's where we are. Okay. Oh, and of course the chat just reset. All right. Scroll back up here. Try to get in there. And people tell me to turn the intro off. The intro's off. Here we go. Got BOFH in here for finally catching a live show. Excellent. And Daphne, Houston, thoughts on China? Do you think it will help Russia weapon supplies? I think China is really second guessing helping Russia. On the one hand, they can get lots of oil and gas for cheap and a whole bunch of wheat. They can probably resell to the rest of the world at a premium. On the other hand, they can have all of their weapons get destroyed by a bunch of javelins and NLAWs, and they can lose a good chunk of their hardware they want to use to eventually invade Taiwan. Now, they had plans to invade Taiwan for this fall, and I think the global reaction and the serious ass kicking that NATO-made weapons are doing to Russian armaments is making the Chinese rethink a lot of that plan. Because Taiwan is way more heavily outfitted than Ukraine is by far. And it's going to be really, really, really hard to take that rock conventionally. China's going to have to throw a lot at Taiwan to be able to take that. And if they do, what will they have in the end? They will lose almost all of their ability to manufacture computer chips and electronics. The rest of the world won't do business with them anymore, so their economy will completely collapse, and they'll be a pariah state just like Russia is right now. So, I think China let Russia float that balloon and see what the reaction was going to be, and now China's going, perhaps we don't do this. Perhaps we've got it pretty good right now, not taking Taiwan and minding our own business. I think there's a lot of that talk, because just like there's oligarchs in Russia, there's oligarchs in China, right? China, I talked about this before. China is the purest capitalist system in the entire world. They might call themselves communist, but if they were communist, there wouldn't be billionaires and there wouldn't be poor people, right? You can't have billionaires in a communist system. They are pure laissez-faire capitalism. And it's just that the oligarchs, the robber barons and oligarchs, happen to be members of the Communist Party. So all their billionaires are in that party. So and they're doing exactly what the Russians did, which is, it's not fun to spend $1 billion in China. You want to go spend your $1 billion in London and Dubai and Madrid and Miami and Vancouver. You want to go all over the world and put your money all over the place. And so if China does the same thing that Russia does and tries to invade Taiwan, then they're going to have all their assets frozen as well. And none of their billionaires will be billionaires anymore. And man, that sucks, right? You're like, I have $5 billion. I can do whatever I want. Oh, China just invaded Taiwan and now I'm destitute and all my cool shit got seized by the U.S. government and I have nothing. Lame. So there's probably a lot of talk amongst these very powerful Chinese Communist Party billionaires about, how do we not lose everything? Let's probably hold back on invading Taiwan because we like our stuff. So, that makes sense to me. Think like an asshole billionaire and you want your stuff, right? That's the whole reason why you have stuff, because you want it. You want everything. And if they take it from you, then you have nothing, and then you're pissed off. So it's a very, very powerful motivator. You got to think like an asshole. That's why making predictions for this stuff is really easy, because you just think like, what would an asshole do in this situation? And then that's what they do, because they're assholes. And that's how assholes operate. So, it's great. Okay. Darren Haya. Houston, thoughts if I should sell my 200 AMC shares for GME? Also, do you think MOAS will happen this year? Cheers. Well, again, trying to predict when it's going to happen. This year, for sure, we're going to turn into a big bear market. I think... liquidity drying up. That was the other thing I was supposed to talk about at the top of the show. So, just in January, 45% of corporate bonds were selling above their bond price. They're selling for more than what the loan was for the bond. Now, 6 weeks later, only 1.2% of bonds are selling for above cost, which tells you that there's a giant liquidity crisis. I retweeted a great thread from earlier today talking about how hundreds of companies have canceled their issuance of bonds because there's no money to buy them. And so these corporate junk bonds are they're toast. So we might see HYG start to drop even more than it has been. And if bonds are drying up, means basically these companies can't get loans. If they can't get loans, they can't do normal aspects of the business, such as expanding other markets, doing payroll, doing all sorts of things. So we may see a really quick liquidity crunch. And if we see a quick liquidity crunch where regular profitable corporations can't raise money via issuing bonds, then these hedge funds that may find themselves in the liquidity crisis might not be able to raise capital to meet margin requirements. And that could really be a game changer, especially since Russian bonds are basically defaulted. Tens or hundreds of billions in Chinese bonds are basically defaulted. There's a lot of assets under management that are just going to poof into nothing, and that's it. They're going to be gone. They're going to be gone forever, and everyone's going to have to recalibrate and close out margin obligations and increase assets under management, or they're going to have to figure out something. And I think there's a lot of nervous Nellies at a lot of investment banks and a lot of funds right now trying to figure out, who can I take from what and who we're going to let die in this next financial round and who's going to survive. It's a survival of fittest. Don't drool on the keyboard. It's we're things are going to get rocky here. And if they get super rocky, then, liquidations are going to happen. They're coming. All right, you giant breath machine. You know how to steam up some windows, don't you? Okay. I have to keep a hand on his head at all times. If I take it off, he just puts it right underneath me again. Okay. Javi A. Houston, I got metamaterial options to expire on January 23rd and already turned a profit. There's sneaky plays you can think of. Well, I mean, if you buy options, pretty close to at the money, especially for a long ways out, and you still have a whole bunch of theta on there. There's not much theta decay going on, and it's a pretty volatile stock. I mean, if you aren't going to wait to get too greedy, you can buy options, on a down day, buy options because it's going to go up again a day or two later, and then sell them, and you can profit $100 here, $100 there. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but you can play that game that way. I'm trying to gather as many January as I can for metamaterial because my hope is that any dividend that's offered is going to result in eventually a few months after that dividend that's offered, given out, is going to result in a metamaterial squeeze. That's how the math is working in my head. I may be totally wrong, and I may just shoot myself in the foot by doing this. But if metamaterial squeezes to $100 a share momentarily, any of those options could be worth a boatload. I mean, think about if you buy a $10 option, $10 call for January, and it costs you $24 for the contract, right? And that sucker squeezes to $100. You make $90 per share for 100 shares. You just got $9,000. Fantastic, right? Off of a $24 investment. That's a pretty good run up. If it doesn't, and you just want to play the game, and the stock price goes to $2, you may have turned your $24 into $50 off of that. Fantastic, also. So, you can 2x your money, or you can wait and gamble, which I'm gonna try and do. I want to get 1,000 calls if I can. It's gonna cost me a good chunk of money this year, but if I get 1,000 calls and that sucker squeezes to $100, those 1,000 calls could be worth $8-9 million, and that's what I'm gambling on. That's what I'm going to shoot for, and hopefully, there's a 3-month delay, because my guess is they offer a dividend. Dividend goes out, and they try to hammer down the price of metamaterials even more. And by then, there'll be some theta decay on those January calls. So maybe I could take that pile of money I get from metamaterial, from the Torchlight Preferred share, and I can just dump that right back into more metamaterial and into options. Yeah. So if I can get 1,000 contracts from that, that'd be fantastic. All right. I got Josh Pet Pals is giving me more dog training advice. Yes, the dog does have anxiety. It does take flamoxin. Is that what you take? Is that the thing I got to give you every morning with peanut butter? Because you're a complete spazoid. But yeah, he's not quite used to being in this house. Well, I've been at my mom's for the last 10 days because she's still. I gotta go back there tonight because she's still hobbling around with her new hip. But so he doesn't quite know where he lives yet. He's like, I don't know where I am. I keep going to different houses and it's weird. Okay. Bobby Norwood, Houston, I guess XBit never got back to you about the 46.50 pounds credited to his brokerage account for his MMTLP. Yeah, I never heard about that or saw a screenshot or anything of what that was about. I know a couple of folks that are in the UK that recently got MMTLP shares. It cost them like £20 fee to do the transaction because it's a weird OTC stock at this point. So yeah. Okay. Tetiana Popova, MMAT and dividend price range. Thanks. Well, MMAT, right now it's $1.80 or whatever. It was $1.40 the other day. I'm sure it's going to be a penny stock bouncing around until there's a squeeze. MMTLP dividends. Who's the guy? The guy that did the math. I showed the graph. I didn't know where it came from. People sent me a bunch of his videos. He did a pretty good job explaining his reasoning for what the dividend will be. And it came based out of the unsolicited offer from the investment bank to purchase metamaterials and Torchlight that George had right before the merger happened. When the price of the stock was spiking, metamaterial spiked to like $21, Torchlight spiked to 10 or 11. And they got a $500 million cash offer to just buy the whole outfit. And that was the equivalent of about a $3.03 dividend per Torchlight share. Assuming like, hey, I mean, if $500 million could be $3.03 preferred dividend when oil's trading at $30 a barrel, right? Let's extrapolate that. And so he did the math up to, 150 a barrel. And his math says that at 95 to 105, which is kind of where oil is right now, that might mean like an $80 or $90 dividend, which would be fantastic. I don't quite believe it would be that high. I mean, everything inside of me wants it to be, but I think a $20 dividend is, if you can get a $20 dividend, I'd be pretty stoked. I think anything over $10 is fantastic. You basically like 7 extra money. And if it's higher than that, I'm just going to be pleasantly surprised. But I hope for 10, be ecstatic for 20, and anything over that would just be, swoon. So that's what I'm thinking. Okay. Two-wheel freedom. When in debt, they really shouldn't be buying anything not even remotely related to the movie industry. Changed my mind. I mean, the hard part about having a company like AMC, it's really hard to diversify within that movie industry realm. Like, there was a law for a long time that if you own a studio, you can't own theaters. I think that recently changed last year. So that studios can go back to owning movie studios. But, you're competing against people who now have giant TVs in their home. They got 70-inch TVs they got for $1,000 at Costco. And they basically have their own little private, every home now has its own private theater, which, you got 8K streaming, you got all sorts of fancy stuff. Ben's keep trying to call me here. What's he trying to do? What's he trying to do here? Okay. Must be super important. Sorry, I'm going to have to answer this. It's just twice now to try to call me. One sec. Ahoy, matey. Oh, and he hung up. Never mind. All right. Oh, yes, I do. One sec. All right. Oh, sorry. All right, now you're trying to call me again. Sorry, give me 25 seconds. No, big dog, quit trying to... Okay. Yo. Oh, crap. Yes. Yeah. I should be able to do that. Yeah. Okay, so you sent it to me on... Okay. Okay, so you want me to send it on Cash App? Okay, can do. Okay, perfect. All right, bye. Yep. Okay. All right. Sorry, I should have answered that earlier. My friend Ben needs me to cash up him some money so he can check into a hotel. He's stuck on the road and his car's not working. So, all right. So I'm waiting for that to come in, and then I can send that to him. And okay, all right. So that's gonna go there, and that's gonna go there. I'm gonna check which account goes to my Cash App thing. All right, send that to me, Ben. And late nights, man. Late nights. Okay. Don't want people to be stuck on the side of the road. Can't check into a hotel. All right. I think the big dog left on a hunt for the cat, but there's no more cat. The cat is gone. Cat's gone, big dummy. Okay. Where were we? What were we talking about? Talking about metamaterials. We're talking about debt in the movie theater industry. Yeah, so AMC's kind of stuck because there's only a couple avenues you can go into. You can go into streaming services, which people corrected me. Apparently there is a streaming service that AMC has, but they don't really advertise it. And I think part of the problem is that, so much is invested in these brick and mortars that if they start streaming movies to people's homes, or they advertise it more and people do that more, then these brick and mortars become a wasted space. So there's a big push to turn these brick and mortar movie theaters into more of an experience with food and drinks and other things, and kind of, up the ante, up the game a little bit. Okay, did that... Sorry, I'm going to have to keep checking this thing to make sure that's all working. Big dog! Big dog! There's no cat. The cat does not exist. It's a figment of your imagination. There is no cat. So, if everyone sits at home and watches this stuff, then why have a movie theater? Why? Well, why? It's a giant waste for everybody. So, ¿Por qué? Right? ¿Por qué? Yeah. So how can they diversify? They're going to have to work sort of as a holdings company at that point. And so they're going to go into things that have nothing to do with the film industry. And this is where things get tricky, because if you don't have experts on your team, on your board, that know things about, say, I don't know, mineral exploration and operating mines and the world of junior mining, which is rife with corruption. Yes, things can hit big, but a lot of it is really sketchy. And you might be able to prove that, yes, there's $15 billion in minerals in somewhere. But are you going to be able to get it? Right? Is it going to cost you $20 billion to get that $15 billion? Then you don't really have $15 billion in minerals, because there's not an economical way of getting it out of there yet. And if, they consult people who know this stuff, they might not invest into these mines. And I'm okay with companies having investments in holdings. It's a great way to even keel if, movie industry, say, gets hit with a giant pandemic where people don't go to the movies for 2 years. It's a fantastic way to, work your way through. So, okay. All right. So, all right. Got to send money now to Ben. Where did... Where did okay. So, did he send me? You ding dong, you didn't send me your... There it is. Okay. Boom. All right. Bam. That go? Oh, sorry. Now, hopefully Ben can get in his hotel room. Done. All right. Hope that worked. Sent that to you, Ben. Sorry, I'm getting so distracted. I got dog trying to chase cats. I got friends stuck in hotel rooms. All right. Hopefully everything works and we're cool. Okay. So, if you're going to do the holdings company thing, you're going to want to bring people onto your team that represent that diverse markets you're going to be going for. People who are good at commodities for food, people who are good at commodities for metals, people that, are great for housing or what, however you diversify. And, so yeah, that's kind of the realm. So, like I said before, if you want to change the culture at AMC, we need a board that represents the investors of AMC. And since the retail investors own 90% of the company, we can pick whoever we want to be on the board and we can nominate whoever we want. There are retail investors who own oodles more shares than anyone who's currently on the board. Right? They have a larger proportion of the vote than any member of the board of AMC, because the board of AMC have jettisoned, 31 million shares over the past year. So there you go. There. Bee's knees. When dividend for MMTLP? Oh, sometime this year. They're supposed to do a call about the dividend sometime this month. That's what George was saying. I don't know the date. If someone knows the date, let me know. There you go. Matt with 1T. I broke down Houston. Can you send me $5,000? Thanks. Nope. I can't send you $5,000 because I put a lot of stuff there. Yeah. I've got the big stuff wrapped up trying to, dog hair everywhere, wrapped up trying to get myself the MMTLP shares. So there's no liquidity on that. Okay. All right. Chakuseki. What will Adam Aaron think of next? Colloidal silver impregnated popcorn? Snake oil soda fountains. Kyle Griffith Houston, did you see the Mullen Gamma ramp for next week? No. What's Mullen up to? Okay, let's see. There's that. Let's go to MULN. Mullen Automotive. Whoa, we shot up quite a bit. We're up 279 now. That's impressive. So we're ramping. The bottom was February 23rd at 62 cents. At Christmas time it was at 580 and change, and so it's ramping back up. So if you can get some, maybe if you got some calls on Mullen, you may make a pretty penny if that's happening. They have a squeeze potential. I think long term they're in a rock and a hard place. We've got this giant semiconductor shortage, and so we have. Companies like Ford are manufacturing the cars they don't have semiconductors for. So, you might not have a heating system or a drive-by-wire system that actually works. So they're sending them to the dealerships, hoping that semiconductors will arrive someday. And they have the guys at the dealership just plug the chips in. But, they can't sell the cars until those chips are available. Now, with an electric vehicle, you have 2,000 or so semiconductors that are needed. And Mullen is low man the totem pole. A, they don't really have a product that's viable to sell yet. And B, they're in such need of these semiconductors to be able to make anything production value-wise. And I think we're looking a long ways out until those semiconductors are going to be available. And they're going to go to the big boys first. They're going to go to GMC, Chrysler, Toyota, Ford, before they go to small, little places. Those guys are, you know, they're back there. They're not. No one's paying attention to their orders. Okay. Calvin, are you off Twitter? I'm on Twitter. I'm still on Twitter. Twitter's where I do most of my arguing. Okay. Bergeson, Houston's still blown away. Think how the tide doesn't come in and out more than how the Earth is rotating through the moon's pull of the water. Yeah, pretty much it. Yeah, moon pulls and the Earth kind of rotates under it. Basically, is about 2 hour lag because the spin of the Earth adds momentum to the water as well. But the thing I like to think about is, if there was no tide, would there be life on land? Right? So if you want bipedal humans, you probably need a tide. You need a tide, so you have a tidal area where these things can live in tidal flats and estuaries that sometimes are exposed to air, sometimes in the water, sometimes exposed to air, to be a evolutionary driver to create, a missing link. A fish like Tiktaalik, or a lungfish, or a coelacanth, or whatever. That's the next step of the evolutionary ladder, so that, hundreds of millions of years later, there's an idiot in a shirt with glasses and a beard talking to the internet in his home office. All because the moon existed and there was a tidal area. So that some ancient ancestor of ours, got stuck in the mud and took a gas and went, oh, I can breathe this. This is kind of cool. And that's how we got here. The problem with having the camera on this side is that the shirt buttons open up this way, so if I slouch, it always pops open, and I have to preserve my posture, and it's exhausting. I like slouching much more, but then I get this weird space, and it bothers me when I see it on camera. Okay. Cosmic Cornelius, why is Eric Sprott joining AA, Adam Aaron, and HYMC for 5 years? Kingmaker Small Gold Mine Investing, hates short sellers. What does he see? Could Adam Aaron have similar motives? I don't know. I mean, Eric Sprott has had a lot of dogs also that have gone nowhere in that realm, and he's playing the odds. He throws money at stuff, and I think the price right now is low enough that if he, spends $22 million to get 22% of this mine, and he sells out at $5, he's cool. If the price collapses, he's like, well, on to the next one. That's what I think he's thinking. The price right now is low enough that it's a good gamble for him. Okay. Chopper 3R68, Houston, how much gold, silver, iron would AMC need to make back the money that they spent on HYMC? Do you think the mine is worth what they paid for? No. The $22 million that went into that mine is, a chunk of ownership in a mine that doesn't have enough money to actually start extracting anything. So they need about $1 billion. They need to raise about $1 billion, which either means they need to sell enough stock to make $1 billion, or they need to issue bonds to make $1 billion. And right now, no one can sell bonds for shit. So there's a liquidity crisis, right? So if a 5-star company has to cancel plans for bond issuance, then a fledgling junior gold mine is not going to be able to sell anything worth spit. So to get that $22 million back, their share is going to have to be, they're going to have to extract 200,000 ounces. Do that, 200,000 change ounces. to go get that $22 million. And I just don't see that happening. Anytime soon, within 5-10 years, no. I don't think that mine will be up and running in that time. I think their best bet is they get investor fervor, the stock price goes to $2-3 and they sell out and they make a profit. I think that's the best bet for them. But if they wait too long, the price is going to collapse right back down again, especially since they're already going to be offering a bunch of shares that dilute the stock, which means their 22% ownership is going to shrink depending on how much they offer in that shareholding. The more I look at it, the more it looks like a really kind of crappy long-term investment. Perhaps a short-term play, awesome, but long-term, no. I think long-term the money just disappears, and that's that. Okay. 11:35. We'll see how much I got. Maybe half an hour left of me. I don't know if I can do a full 2-hour show today. I'm trying to get some caffeine in me, but I gotta. We'll see what we got. Okay. Illy. Give me some coordinates that says 2 more days. Let's see where we're going. Where are we going, Billy? Fly around the world. We're going to Africa. We're going to Arabia. We're going to Bahrain. Is that where we are? Is that where we are? Bahrain? We're going to start the F1 circuit here. Yeah, Bahrain Grand Prix. Here we go. Yeah, 2 more days, baby. It's a good track there. Got some decent twists and turns there. Go past the grandstands. Everyone's stoked. Wowee! Yeah, start the F1 season, man. Start it. Be the last F1 season ever because we'll be in nuclear apocalypse by October. Chopper 3R68. Will Elon launch enough satellites to clog up space like everyone's complaining about? Yeah, probably. Between Starlink and SoftBank, they're going to be launching about 40 to 60,000 microsatellites. Hopefully Elon learned his lesson and we'll have a solar astronomer on payroll now. I don't know if you guys heard, but there's a giant solar flare. Everyone was talking about it. Oh, solar flare is going to hit. Watch out for your satellites. And then Elon didn't have anybody paying attention, and all their satellites got hit with a giant EMP and died. And they lost like half of their Starlink satellites. And you could have saved yourself $100 million by having a scientist who's paid $100,000 a year to go, hey, turn off the satellites for 15 minutes while this giant EMP blasts through, and save yourself a bunch of money. So hopefully Starlink and SpaceX has that now. I hope. If not, Elon, you can pay me a fortune. I will tell you when to turn your satellites on and off, and you'll save you some money. And I'll just call my friend Ben, who works at Solar Telescope, be like, hey, Ben, should I turn the satellites off? All right. Because he looks for those things, and I just use him. I'll subcontract and then sit on my ass. Okay. Randy Albert, FYI, you have some orbs floating around the room sometimes. That is just dust, baby. This camera is HD, so it's going to pick up all that dust. And I've just have animals shedding hair and shooting dander everywhere, and there's just shit floating around constantly around me. I see them. I see them in the corner of my eye, just like little space aliens going by. Well, I might as well do more coordinates. Why not? Why not, Protege? We'll throw another coordinate in here. Why not? Let's see where we're going. Take me somewhere. Where am I going? I'm flying to... I'm in the Himalayas, perhaps? I'm at Crazy Switchback. Holy smokes, look at that switchback. There's a truck on that switchback. Bam, boom, 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 boom. Yar Koshar. All right, so where am I? I'm in India? Pakistan? Where am I? I am in India. Okay, right near Kashmir. That's a decent hill for sure. Look at that switchback. So this road goes up to 12,000 feet. This pass? Where are we down here? So, oh, it's higher. It's higher here. So we're 11,000. Switchbacks 13,000, 12. So we're heading down to the valley here at 10,000. So that's 3,000 foot climb. Pretty rad. Coxar. Let's look at. Oh, there we go. That's good switchback. That's the pass right there. Okay. Ruktong Pass. There's a pretty interesting show. It's fairly poor production quality, but I loved watching it. It was on Prime, and it was called like World's Most Dangerous Journeys or something. Just a little half-hour show, and they would just profile some poor guy who's like, hey, this dude, he's got some gold mining supplies, and he's got to get through French Guiana from this town into the jungle. Let's watch him fuck up along the way. And so for half an hour, you watch this guy get stuck in mud, winch himself out, and trucks falling off cliffs and everything. And it's pretty rad. And then they do like, oh, this is a truck driver who in the Himalayas in Pakistan who's got to take a bunch of oranges from this location over to this location. And they just follow him for half an hour. Oh, this is a guy who's got a shipment of Perrier water he's got to take through Kyrgyzstan and at 12,000 feet in the dead of winter, and where it's minus 50 outside and the wind's blowing 100 miles an hour. And, you know, will he live or die? This dude is a logger in the Congo. He's got to get, you know, this ancient hardwood from the jungle to a mill. Will he die? It was fun. It's like 2 seasons of it, and the production value is just basically just like took a dude and a camera, and like just follow this dude. We'll pick you up at the end. So like one of the journeys was through the Congo, and it was like a mud road trying to get from one major city to another, but it's all mud roads, and the entire highway got stuck in a mud pit for like 2 weeks. There's like a town popped up. People from the jungle started setting up shops, like selling chickens and stuff to everyone who's stuck in the mud pit, until eventually some Chinese dude from some mining operation came barging through the forest with a giant excavator and like dug up the road and pulled the cars out and kind of paved a little highway in about half an hour, and then everyone was able to drive on again. It's a pretty interesting show. I think it's called World's Most Dangerous Journeys. I think that's what it is. Where is that one? Shoot. Where? You. AMC. That's the one I want. Nope, not that one. Nope. Nope. That's the one I want. Okay. So we can go. I think this is it. Deadliest Journeys. Is this what it is? Deadliest Journeys. I think this is it. Yeah. Okay. This is the one. I totally recommend it. Oh, you have to buy it now? It's not free streaming? Oh, bummer, man. Okay. Well, it's worth it. I learned a lot watching that show. And, yeah. Rock slides, all sorts of crazy stuff. So, oops, you can't see it. I forgot to turn off the Google Earth. There. No, come back, Chrome. There we go. This is it. Deadliest Journeys, I think it is. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I dig it. You know, going through warlords and whatnot. But now it's not free streaming anymore. You got to pay for it, which is a bummer. So next time it's free streaming, watch it. Okay. All right. Chopper 68 bought my house in 2008 with 6% interest. Could we see 20% like back in the Depression times? I don't think so. I think they're trying their best to not get to those rates, and we're starting our what do they call it? Throttling. What do they call it, monkey? Tapering. Starting our tapering sooner than we did back in the 70s, 80s. You know, we didn't let inflation get to 14%. Of course, we're kind of calculating it differently now, so it might be that high at the moment. But mentally, we're at 7-8%. But I wouldn't doubt if we see 4 to 6% interest for home loans by the end of the year. I wouldn't doubt. No Revolution 105. What's in the first James Webb pic? Can I call off that satellite asking for a friend? They just finally focused the mirrors. Some star it's like 2,000 light years away. James Webb focus mirrors. Here we go. All right, bam. Nope, I don't want to register. Leave me alone. So here we go. This is the first focused image. This is raw. This is a raw image. No color correction, just probably in one spectrum. You see everything's red, and you can see these giant star bleeds. These spikes are from the CCDs. You get these bleed runs along the CCDs on the camera chip. That's where you get these spikes from. You won't get them from galaxies. Galaxies don't have a starburst. So that's a star. That's a galaxy. Star, galaxy, star, galaxy, 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 galaxy. They're all galaxies. So they focus on this sucker, and then what they do is they take this raw footage and they have a computer do all its work, and people Photoshop the hell out of it, and they clean it up and they reduce the spikes, and they'll take 100 images of this one star, and they'll add them all up, divide them by the average, and it'll get all cleaned up. And they'll add in different layers of different wavelengths of light, and then they start to get color out of that. They'll assign color to those wavelengths and do that stuff. It's pretty crazy. So like if I can show you here. So I'll go to Big Houston. Where's my cap? What did I do with my? There it is. I'm going to put the lens cap on real quick. And what you're going to see is like weird little glitz of light. So there should be no light coming in whatsoever. And do you see these little dots here? These are imperfections on the CCD. And every digital camera has it. Your cell phone camera, your nice digital SLR, they all have these little tiny imperfections where little bits of light will register as if there's light coming in, but it's not. It's just an imperfection in the camera and the CCD. And so when you have something like this James Webb telescope or another image from a big telescope, what you end up doing is you take a bunch of dark fields where you cover the lens, right? You cover the lens and you take 10 of those. And then you do the opposite. You shine a really bright thing on it. So you do a light field, such as like if my hand could, somehow make a really bright, in a telescope dome, you might take a picture of like some bright wall. You do 10 of those. And you take then your image and you add those light fields and dark fields together and you subtract them from your image, and it takes away all the imperfections. You end up with like a nice, crisp, clear, actual image that you want. It's pretty cool how they figured all that stuff out. Yeah. So, what was this song? What were we talking about? James Webb. True images from James Webb. So this might be considered first light, but I think that it's just a focal star. It's not what they want to like have their first light be. Will be May or so while they get the camera, better situated. Now they got the mirror set up. Now they got to focus on the rest of the things that make that system work better. Stacks McGee, what do you think of AMC having a gold or silver backed crypto token? One to each share as a divvy. Make them close synthetics by buying a crypto token from AMC in weight of gold. Heard this earlier. I don't think they'll be able to offer any of that until they get rid of their debt. I don't think they'll be able to offer any of that stuff till they get rid of their debt. It'd be awesome if they could, but they spent their debt money on a gold mine. So that's one problem, is that they can offer nothing that even close to related to be conceived as a dividend until they clear, $3 billion in debt or more out of the way. Okay. BOFH Houston, I read an article a while back that said the value of homes is no longer attached to how much a person is able to buy it for. It's BlackRock, etc., buying based on a total rent income value. Possibly. The value of homes is completely disconnected from like any market sense. It's kind of becoming a greater fool fallacy, much like the '08 crisis began. Like, you bought a home and you, for the express purposes of flipping it to somebody else for more money than you paid for it. And that can only last for so long. It's like a pyramid scheme at that point. Like, if a pyramid scheme could work the way it should, you know, your Amway or LuLaRoe or whatever, like in 10 generations of you get two friends and you get two friends, all of a sudden the entire world is a member of it and no one's buying anything from anyone else. So, yeah, it's, you know, the bubbles burst. This sucker's going to burst at some point. All right. Daphne says, I've run out of questions. I've answered them all. Okay. Rants. Are you liking me again? Drop in to say, keep grinding, brother. You too. All right. Hope bygones can be bygones. All right. All right. You silly thing. Oh, Joey Sullivan. Sorry, Mr. Super Chat from Joey Sullivan. Sorry about that. Thoughts on overly shorted OTC stocks this year? I think they may be bellwethers this time. So, the baby squeeze, the sneeze, people like to call it, in January of last year, we saw all these, you know, major exchange traded stocks pop on like 27th, 28th, and then they turned off the buy button and everything calmed back down. But like a week later, the first week of February, all these crazy OTC stocks went boom and shot up. Some of them just doing crazy climbs. You know, your Blockbusters and Sears and Lehman Brothers and companies that are basically bankrupt or shouldn't exist anymore. They all had crazy spikes in that first week of February. Now, if I were a hedge fund and I wanted to survive, the first thing I would concentrate on closing out is penny stocks. These pink sheet penny stocks. I would try to close out anything I shorted naked. You know, the stuff that's pinned to the seller or whatever at 1,000th of a dollar, 10,000th of a dollar, whatever it might be. I would try to buy out and close those positions, every single one of them, because, you know, if you had to close out 100 million shares at 10,000th of a dollar, okay, you spent some thousands of bucks to do that. Done. But if you let that sucker squeeze because everything else is squeezing, and all of a sudden those 100 million shares cost you $1 billion because they go to like $10 or whatever craziness, then you're screwed. So, I would be wiping out as many of those OTC stocks as I possibly could, which might be why we're seeing jumps. Is like someone's like, okay, I am underwater on 1 billion Lehman Brothers synthetics. We're going to close out those 1 billion Lehman Brothers ones as soon as possible. And that way, you know, Lehman Brothers can't bite us in the ass when GameStop squeezes. So I try to get rid of all that small cap, all of those OTC zombie stocks, and try to get that done before anything else bad happens. So you have to deal with maybe one or two of the awful ones and just close out everything you can. Are they doing that? I don't know if they're smart enough to, or if they are controlled enough to. But it's what I would want to do, right? You want to like, you know, one step at a time, take care of these problems. You want to take care of the cheap ones first while you've got cash, and then you can close out those obligations, get that off your margin. I think that's the way you'd probably do it. How would you guys do if you were that case? If like you knew that GameStop was going to cost you $1 trillion, and you knew that everything else that you were short on was going to explode as well, would you just go, fuck it, I'm going to remain just over leveraged on everything? Or would you like try to survive another day by just closing all these guys out? I don't know. I'm trying to ponder on that. Okay. Get It Got had a... Wait, why is Get It Got's comments deleted? Get It Got shouldn't have comments deleted. Protege, what Get It Got say that got deleted? He should be... No! Don't hide Get It Got. Sorry, Get It Got. If you're still watching, I'm going to try to bring you back here. He's my buddy. He shouldn't be hidden. He thinks I should DRS. I don't. That's okay. We can have disagreements on that. Okay. Where'd you go? I'm gonna try to bring you back here. Get It Got. Where are you? There's like a giant list of Russians and bots that a lot of Cyrillic. Okay, where's Get It Got? Where are you? Gotta scroll. How do I... Where are you, my man? Okay, that one's really racist. They got blocked. I'm glad that one got blocked. Okay. And man, there's so many webcat chans, chat girls things that... Hot boys and girls. Where are you? Oh yeah, there's all the founding fathers that got blocked for being really racist. Remember those guys? Oh, it's like a trip down memory lane here. People like mods. You guys can get rid of the racists, can get rid of the stalkers, and get rid of the bots. That's cool. People can argue with me on here. I'm okay with them arguing and saying things I don't necessarily agree with. I love debate. There's another. It's like 5 of these ones that got deleted. Okay, I can't find you. It's good. It makes things interesting having people challenge me on stuff. I'm okay with that. I can't find you. Get It Go. Where are you? Why would you get... Where? Oh, Jessica Fletcher. Like, Murder, She Wrote Jessica Fletcher? Well, why are you? You shouldn't... yeah, close that. Why are you on there? William Morgan got booted. Why is that? Okay. Bulldog Trading. What? You shouldn't be on there. There's a couple of these guys that shouldn't be hidden that I think are pretty cool people. Okay. Man, there's like 11 of these webcamschat.com ones that have been given the boot. Holy smokes. Oh, I can't find you. Get It Got, I can't find you on here. Okay, can I go to this way and do it? Okay, let me just save that so at least those two can come back on. Sorry. Get It Got, I don't know. I can't find you on here. I'm going to try and get you back when I can. Sorry about that. Okay. Latinum, what is Oilco and what is relationship to MMTLP? Okay, so when Metamaterials merged with Torchlight, Torchlight was an oil company that was basically a failed oil company. They were like the oil company equivalent of HYMC, of Highcroft Mines. Like, it was too expensive to get their oil out. Oil prices were too cheap, and the lands were pretty much useless. Now, oil prices have skyrocketed, making the lands very appealing. So when these companies merged, they're going to become Metamaterial, and they're going to sell off all the assets of Torchlight, and that became the Metamaterials Torchlight Preferred Share, MMTLP. And the hope was to sell it last year and provide a dividend before the end of the year. But SEC laws say that when it swaps over from fourth quarter to first quarter, those preferred shares either have to turn to cash or they have to become shares in a new company. And that new company is Oilco. And Oilco is going to be the holding company for all the assets that was Torchlight, and they're hoping to sell all those assets in the dissolve Oilco. And that's its relationship, is that Oilco is going to be the holding company for the Metamaterial Torchlight Preferred Share assets. And when they sell that stuff, those Oilco stocks will turn into cash for us, and woohoo! There we go. Okay. Da H. Houston, what do you think of GameStop not going to offer a dividend? Bummer. They may be waiting for GMErica to be launched next quarter before they do anything. I think it's smart to offer one. But they are spending a bunch of money still trying to build logistics networks for their online retail. They bought a giant warehouse, filling it up with all sorts of stock because of supply chain troubles. So they can't get this stuff like shipped on demand like you could 2 years ago. They're like, hey, I need 100 more graphics processors or whatever. You just have a standing order, and there'd be some ship from China. There'd just be dropping off 100 every month. That's not happening anymore. So you got to stockpile your own warehouses, like we did 30 years ago, and distribute from there rather than relying on these individual companies to do the supply on demand. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm getting to my brain shutting off period where my head can't think very well. Oh, thank you, Daphne. Thank you for hiding that. Thank you. Oh, that's because you hit him already. All right. Thank you. Sorry, get it, God, if you got booted there. Okay. Okay, BOFH was asking something else. Did I miss? Now that CLF has gone up and not come back down, I'm debating wheeling AMC. Thoughts? CLF? CLF? What's CLF? CLF? Is that a CLF? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Go there. CLF. Cleveland Cliffs? I don't know what Cleveland Cliffs is. About Cleveland Cliffs. Flat rolled steel producer? I don't think that's what you're talking about. BOFH, you may have to double down and tell me what CLF is. My brain isn't recalling all of my acronyms right now. Okay. Cosmic Cornelius, you can't sell HYMC during squeeze either due to 5-year agreement, either can sprout. That's quite a long period of time to be tied in with that. I give the odds of them having a functional mine getting ore in 5 years less than 50% chance. I think it's 5 years is ideal. That's about how long it would take if they had enough capital to start now to set up a milling operation. They with the sulfide ores, they have to grind that stuff into powder paint. So you need one hell of a milling operation. Now they're going to be doing cyanide leach from that milled stuff, and then they got to go through it, and they got to pull out. They got to throw into acid baths and various oxidizers to pull off the different metals. It's a huge step process. If you look at the Kidd Creek mine, they do volcanic metal sulfides, which is a lot more sulfur and less iron. Let's see here. Kidd Creek Metallurgical site. There we go. I can't spell to save my life. Oops, forgot to turn on the... there we go. Okay. So the Kidd Creek Metallurgical site. So the Kidd Creek mine, if we bring up Google Earth really quick. I pointed this one out in the past. Where are you, Google Earth? There you are. Okay. So we zoom out from India here. Northern India. We go to Canada, to the deepest hole in the Western Hemisphere. There we go. Let's go to Northern Canada. Go to Ontario, to Timmins, Ontario. Come on. There we go. Da-da-da. So halfway between basically Lake Huron and Hudson Bay. We've got the Kidd Creek mine, which is this mine right here. This is the Kidd Creek mine. This is an 11,000 foot deep hole with about 2,500 kilometers of tunnels. And then there's like a 3,000 foot deep strip mine that's come off of it. And they've got a train that sends material to this site over here. This is the Kidd Creek Mineralogical Site. And this is all spent ore that gets just dumped everywhere. And the Kidd Creek Mineralogical Site, where's the building? Is this the building? Yeah. So all the ore comes in here, and it gets smashed into powder paint. And it goes through all these different acid baths and oxidizers and whatever. And the main thing they're mining is copper, zinc, silver, a little bit of nickel, and then they got a byproduct of gold. And it goes through stage after stage after stage after stage. And because there's so many different metals, they can actually afford to do all these different acid baths and stuff along the way. It'd be prohibitively expensive otherwise. But the Kidd Creek site, which is majority copper mine, is what most of it is, they still produce as a byproduct of their copper operation 20 million ounces of gold, which is more than what the Highcroft mine has. That's just a byproduct of their copper operation. But this site, this giant slag pile here, this is like, these ore piles are the highest point around. They're huge. Because you're looking at 2,500 kilometers of tunnels that have basically been dumped into these giant piles, these leach pits and all sorts of stuff. This metallurgical site probably cost, in today's dollars, 500 million to $1 billion just to set up that mill that processes all this stuff. And if you've got a company that you can buy 22% of for $22 million, then you can't afford to build $1 billion mill site, let alone have enough of these giant trucks and Caterpillar excavators to make a dent into the site. It's going to be really, really, really expensive to set up shop. And that's the thing that, it's now a construction project. You are in a race against time to build one hell of a construction project, to build a mill and extract the material from the ore. Yeah. I think that's where the issue is going to be. And I'm stroking my chin, trying to figure out where they're going to get that capital from, especially considering that you can't sell bonds for shit right now. And if you dilute the stock more, then you're stuck in a debt spiral where you're constantly diluting stock to raise more capital. But to raise more capital, you got to sell even more stock, which drives the price down even more. And before long, you've issued like 10 billion shares and they're all worth like fractions of a penny. And the company, meh. But then, then you got to do your 20,000 to 1 reverse split, and the price spikes to $100 kajillion, and you work your way back down again. Aeromexico just today did a 5 million to 1 reverse split, and their stock price shot to 350 Mexican pesos overnight because they've gotten into a debt spiral by issuing too many shares. So I don't really know what my point was talking about this, but anyway, it's really expensive to try to bring up a low-grade ore gold mine up to speed, especially if you're dealing with sulfides. There you go. I guess that's my point. All right. Okay. Oh. Okay. Oh, CLF steel producer. Okay, all right, yeah. All right, so it was Cleveland Cliffs. So you're wheeling their stock, but it went up and hasn't come back down. Was considering wheeling AMC in the meantime. It's a possibility. I mean, where was Cleveland Cliffs at before? Bring them back up. So 3 months. Yeah, they've gone quite up. They were at $16 and they're floating at 27 now. Not too bad. That was just like 6 weeks ago. That's a pretty good climb. Steel prices are going to shoot through the roof. So one of the largest steel producers in the entire world is just outside Mariupol in Ukraine, and it was a 1930s giant Soviet project. It is a gigantic steel mill, and the Russians have just like leveled it to the ground. So one of the largest steel producers in existence is gone now. And I think we may see steel prices start to climb, at least until the economy takes a shit and people stop buying stuff again, so they don't need raw materials to build things and whatnot. But steel is probably a good thing to invest in at the moment until, everything collapses. All right. Okay. Carl Allet, Houston. I'm with eToro, who use Apex. Can you explain why Apex is bad again? I've looked for previous vid where you explain it, but can't find it. Happy birthday. Cheers. Things that trade with Apex are doing payment for order flow. That's Apex's entire network. So they are routing trades probably through Citadel, and Citadel is looking at your trades and going, what shall we short today? And they're sending you synthetics to your account and never giving you the real share, and flooding everything through dark pools. Apex basically is a dark pool at that point. So it's nice to have a trading platform that allows you to route things through a lit exchange, so that you aren't contributing to the awfulness that is Citadel and others. So a lot of folks use Apex. Schwab will, unless you tell them otherwise. Robinhood, Webull, I think SoFi does. What's the one that starts with an A? Monkey? Can't remember. A lot of them do it. And I think you have the option of leaving payment for order flow and Fidelity and going to the exchange. That is the issue with Apex. And Apex has a liquidity problem of its own. So if you are in Apex, in an Apex platform, you may not be able to transfer to other exchanges because they can't find your shares. So there was a problem where somebody was trying to go from one platform, these Apex, transfer into Fidelity or something, and they're like, yeah, we can't do that. Maybe they're trying to DRS, something like that, and they're like, we can't do that. We can't. You don't have any real shares. We can't facilitate any of these transfers. So that's an issue you may deal with those Apex related brokers. Okay. Negative. I am a meat popsicle. Okay. My brain may be turning off here. Houston, this is from Riva Swine. How much do you think solar radiation impacted early development of life on Earth? A decent amount. I think a lot of mutation may come from, little slice bits of DNA from solar and galactic radiation. There's just the probability of when you're making, attaching chromosomes together that A or T or C or G gets dropped and you got to make a new pair. There's also mutations that come from viral infections. Like something like 40% of the human genome is a result of viruses binding with our DNA. So, when you get sick over time, every once in a while, one of those suckers cozies right in and goes, all right, I'm part of the cell now. Deal with it. And start splitting from there. But man, how much from solar radiation? A decent amount, at least for land creatures. Ocean creatures wouldn't have any of that. So any mutations they have are the result of poorly replicating cells, result of contaminants in the water. But land creatures definitely would have some from solar radiation for sure. Okay. Okay. We have trolls in here? Okay. All right. It's past midnight. I turned into a meat popsicle. I may log off. I'm tired. We'll do a show Monday. Not sure what time. I think Monday might be the last day I've got to hang out with my mom she should be motoring around on her own without feeling too wobbly by then. Yeah, so let's shoot for Monday. Do a Monday show. Rock and roll. Right? That work for you guys? Works for me. I'm tired. Okay, thank you for joining Late Night Show. Thank you for hanging out. Sorry my energy has just like completely waned at the end there. But yeah, rock and roll. See you guys on Monday. Hopefully the news of the world is not quite as apocalyptic and we can have some laughs and have a good time and talk about meat popsicles. That work? Monkey butt? That work for you? Yeah? Okay. There we go. All right. And 1, 2, 3. Bye-bye.